Hi here, Finns here. I'm back for another video, and today, the running order for both semi-finals for Eurovision 2024 have been revealed. In the first semi-final, we have 15 countries competing, but only 10 will be able to make it through. And this is our running order for semi-final one. Now, I should put out this year we've got some few changes to the semi-finals. If you haven't heard. This year, the Big Five and the host, as always, get automatic passes to the final. But this year, they will be performing their song live um, in the semi-finals for the very first time. They still get an automatic pass to the final. They may not be competing in the semis, but they will perform their song live in the semis alongside the competing countries in the semi-final. But I didn't put them on the board because they're not competing, and these are the countries that are competing. But I will tell you where the Big Five and the hosts are in the running order. So let's start off with semi-final one now, and opening the first half of the first semi-final, we have Cyprus, followed by Serbia, Lithuania, and Ireland, and then we take a small break to go to the first of the automatic qualifiers, the United Kingdom. Then we go back to the competing countries, and it's Ukraine, Poland, and Croatia. And in the second half, we continue off with Iceland, and then we go back to one of the automatic qualifiers, Germany, and then we go back to the competing countries in the semi, and it's Slovenia, Finland, Moldova, and then we go back to another automatic qualifier, Sweden, our host this year, and then we go to the final competing countries of the semi-final, and they are Azerbaijan, Australia, Portugal, and closing the semi-final, it is Luxembourg. Yes, so that is the running order basically. It's so confusing with the Big Five. So let me talk about how I feel about the Big Five performing in the semis. I think it is a great idea that they are performing. I think it makes the playing ground, it makes it even playing field, really. I mean, for all the countries that get to the grand final, I think everybody gets to see a 3-minute performance in the semis. I think that is a good idea. I mean, if you're going to put the Big Five clip of their semi on YouTube, you might as well broadcast it, you know. It's a 2-hour show at the end of the day. My issue is, I don't want them, I don't know, I don't like it during the semi. I feel like they should have the competing artists in the semis separate to the automatic qualifiers. I think they should have started with them having the automatic qualifiers during the interval or during the voting and just before the results come in. I feel like they should just keep it separate. Let them perform live their whole 3-minute track in the semis, but I just don't think they should be involved with the competing countries because I just think it gets confusing a little bit with the numbers, and people might vote in the wrong number or something. I don't know. I just feel like when the running order came today and we saw these Big Five countries in the middle of some of the competing countries, it got a bit confusing. But I'm just gonna base what I think the running order so far. So let's start with the first half. Cyprus is a good opener. It could have been Croatia. I thought it could be Croatia. Actually, let me tell you what I thought the running order would be for semi-final one. I thought the semi-final. My prediction for semi-final one running order would be Croatia, Poland, Ireland, Lithuania, Serbia, Cyprus, Ukraine, Moldova, Australia, Portugal, Iceland, Azerbaijan, Finland, Slovenia, and Luxembourg. So, okay. So, yeah, I thought it could be Croatia opening the show, but I can understand why the producers didn't put Croatia as the show opener, considering at the time of filming this, Croatia is the bookies' favourite to win it all. And do you put the bookies' favourite on first? Maybe not. So Cyprus, it's a safe pair of hands to put on first. It's a predictable girly bop to put on first, but people love that. People love that, and I think Cyprus will put on a good show, even though It seems like the producers like to put a good old pop girly on first. And then we move to Serbia. Serbia, I feel really bad about. I don't know what's happened to Serbia. I think clearly something must have happened with the Serbian delegation and the EBU because, yeah, something feels very funny. That this is like, what, Constructor performed in another free spot in a semi, Luke Black performed in the number three spot in his semi, and now Taya has to perform in the number two spot in a semi final. Bearing in mind, Serbia can qualify quite early on, as we have seen in recent years, but it does feel a little bit weird that the producers keep putting Serbia on really early of the show. Yeah, again, granted they can qualify early, but yeah, and also in this really, really strong semi-final, um, I kind of feel like, yes, Serbia's been quite hurt by this running order. And then you've got Lithuania. I mean, this first half is just killer, in my opinion. It's just a bloodbath, the first half. I mean, those first three songs, Cyprus, Serbia, and Lithuania. Oh my gosh. I mean, Lithuania, I mean, they've got a diaspora, so I don't think it's that bad on them. Honestly, I don't feel that bad for Ireland, actually. I think Bambi Fug is actually in kind of a nice position, I guess. I'm glad she's going on before Ukraine than after Ukraine. I think Bambi Fug will stand out where Bambi Fug is. Yeah, yeah. And then Ukraine, Poland, and Croatia. Interesting second year in a row. Croatia closes their half. Interesting stuff. But there was a time that Croatia was put on quite early in the second half. Yeah, I mean, Poland does feel like they're being they've been swallowed up by the powerhouses of Ukraine and Croatia. I mean, Poland has got a diaspora, so I don't know if that will come in handy. I mean, yeah, I mean, coming on, being in between Ukraine and Croatia, it might struggle, but that diaspora though. And yeah, and then we go into the second half. Iceland opening the second half and then coming on after Croatia. I love Hera, but I feel like she's going to struggle this year. I'm worried for Iceland this year. I was hoping they would put them on a little bit later on. And also coming on after a favourite just does not work. I feel like Iceland. I'm worried for Iceland. Then we go Slovenia, Finland, Moldova. I mean that, and then we get quite a nice mix there. I would have loved them to put Slovenia on a little bit later, but hey ho, that's fine. It's the second half. We roll with it. Um, I would have liked, I would have liked though them putting Moldova number 8, because then that would have been in the middle of the running order, quite literally. I wish Moldova was actually quite literally in the middle of the running order. But hey ho. Yeah, and then Moldova and Azerbaijan next to each other, kind of stringy songs next to each other. And I don't care, Sweden, this automatic qualifier, it's an interval act, I don't care. They don't count this running order, in my opinion. Sorry. I'm sorry. I have to clear that out. And then we've got final three songs: Australia, Portugal, Luxembourg. Luxembourg closing the show. I knew they would do it. I think because, they want to build up to Luxembourg's return to the contest, 30 something years since they've been away, they kind of want them to, you know, build up to that moment, and say, guess what? Luxembourg's back this year. So yeah, I think actually Luxembourg closing isn't a bad idea. And I think Portugal is in a nice spot as well. I think Australia, Portugal, Luxembourg, I think that's a nice three to end on. And I feel like it helps those three countries out a little bit being near the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think the first half is just stacked with really strong entries. The second half is slightly weaker, in my opinion. But that does make the semi-final feel a bit more open up in a way. It's really hard to predict. I've got to say, I'm worried about Serbia now, considering like we've got quite a few like female ballads in the semi, like Ukraine, Portugal, Slovenia. I'm worried people are going to forget Serbia. Yeah, because you got to remember last year Serbia only came 10th in their semi. So I'm worried about Serbia this year. Iceland, I'm worried about. I'm worried a bit about Poland being sandwiched between Ukraine and Croatia, but they have got a diaspora. Okay. And yeah, who looks good in this running order? I'd say Luxembourg, Portugal, and kind of Australia, because actually they're all kind of near the end of the show. Um, I don't feel bad for Ireland. I think Ireland stands out where it is, so that's good. Um, but yeah, and maybe Finland as well stands out of where it is as well, so that's good for Finn. In any case, what do you think of the first semi-final running order? Comment down below. I will be doing semi-final 2 running order in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. Until then, goodbye, people. Goodbye.